All right, because we
our
have,
movie
I have
review.
we didn't talk about it at all.
No,
Complete
no.
silence leaving the theater.
So again,
Complete
I just want to mention that was my return to the theater.
Big return.
Big return.
Great way to go back.
Yeah.
Great way.
I honestly think that this, in my opinion, and you might disagree with what I'm about to say.
Okay.
One of the better MCU movies.
Okay.
I think, in my opinion,
Out
one
of
of
the
the
25 or whatever.
Yeah, I would put it. I mean, it's hard, right? Because I'm like, well, I haven't seen Iron Man in 10 years, so I don't remember all the feels it gave. Actually, I do remember Iron Man, but I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the movies, but yeah, I think it's so funny because again, not to bring up Black Widow and review that movie, but I'm like, these movies are on two different levels.
Yeah.
You could see
Not in the same realm of.
no, like Shang-Chi makes Black Widow look like a streaming movie.
Yeah.
It's so
An Amazon
you really
Prime movie.
yes. You really do see where Disney or Marvel was putting their efforts, right?
Correct.
You can really tell right off the bat, oh, they cared more about this movie than that movie. And I think that's interesting.
I think
that's really interesting.
I think it shows we literally had to give you a movie because you kept asking and we needed to shut you up. For Black Widow. That's what it was.
And then they still didn't shut her up.
Yeah. They're like, we just need to shut you guys up, stop asking about it, and here.
Yeah. I do think
that's all it was.
Yeah, I do think there was a level of people keep saying we need this movie, so let's make this movie.
But Shang-Chi, liked it?
Loved it.
Okay.
Loved Shang-Chi.
Okay.
So much. And I think that all of the things I was worried about, and because again, it's like, how much did I expect from this movie to begin with versus what it actually delivered to me, right? I think I expected this movie to not be good.
Okay.
Because I didn't know anything about the character. And then, again, I didn't know how much Marvel was backing it. Because it's an unknown character, right? Usually, you don't put all the money into an unknown character.
Which is smart.
Yeah, because you're worried it's not going to pay dividends in the long run. So you don't invest in an unknown character like that.
Okay.
And I don't think that happened at all. I think they were all in on this character. And I'm going to mess up his name. Simu.
I've been saying it. Simu.
The lead actor.
Yes.
I was also pleasantly surprised. I thought he did a phenomenal job.
He was the one I had a lot of faith in. Didn't know anything about him. I had a lot of faith in him.
But
from the little amount of research I had done.
While we're on the acting, though, his dad, who I guess is actually a really famous,
big time. Apparently,
yeah.
I didn't know. I don't know all the actors in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
When I came out and I did my post movie research,
right,
big time.
Yeah,
big time guy.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
had zero clue that he was a world-renowned actor.
Yes. Yeah.
Not big in the U.S., so we didn't.
And then that's totally okay.
Yeah, but my God, can that man act? And
really, I don't want to say believable, but like relatable almost. You're like, I understand you.
Well, and I want to talk once we get into the story review. I'll talk about him as a villain. I think Marvel choosing him as a villain was a really smart move for story purposes. But I wanted to ask you about a specific actor.
Okay.
How'd you like Awkwafina?
Oh, she didn't bother me at all.
Really?
No.
No kidding.
No.
I know you had reservations.
I did 100%, and a lot of people did too, which I was kind of happy to find out. But she didn't bother me. She was fine. Actually, I don't want to say enjoyed her. I was okay with having her there.
Okay.
I felt, at a certain point she was very important.
Yeah.
But I didn't need the things that weren't there. So all the all the stuff that I was like, yep, I'm going to get this. There's going to be a moment and they're going to be talking about family and how important it is and everything, the repercussions this is going to have on our family. And then Awkwafina's going to poke her head in from the background and say some nonsense in a moment where it doesn't need it.
That's what you were afraid of.
And that's what I was afraid of, and that didn't happen. And I was like, oh, cool, she's fine.
Awesome.
That's great. The jokes she said were funny. I felt at times fell into place. That's the time you would have made a joke in real life, and I was fine with it.
And she actually,
which was awesome because I was
you were
going in hot, like
and she actually gets less jokey.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Right. As the movie gets more serious.
There was one moment, and we'll probably talk about it later, where something happened with her, and I was gonna be mad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you think she was gonna get powerful?
No, I thought she was gonna be the one to save everything.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, really? Her one arrow is gonna be the one that does it?
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, okay.
That's not true. But then when it happened, I was like, okay, it wasn't like it. It was a distraction more than anything. I was like, fine.
So I agree. At that point, I was also worried, but I gotta say, there wasn't a lot in this movie, even from the very beginning. There wasn't a lot in this movie that I was complaining about in my head.
No.
Right? I wasn't like, oh man, that was a bummer. Kind of in my head, kind of like docking points off as I watched the movie. Right?
That's true.
There wasn't a lot of that going on in my own brain, and maybe on a second run through, I could be more picky about it. Yeah. But if a movie can distract me enough that I'm not even in my own head, trying to dock points off, I think it's doing its job.
Exactly.
And so I give it all the credit in the world for being a fun, entertaining, action-packed movie. Some of the best kung fu fighting that I've
which I love
ever seen in a movie. My goodness, it was so good. The choreography was flawless. So again, just a great job overall. And I do have some issues with one part of the story.
Okay.
But if we start at the beginning, I gotta say I love that they threw us into his life as an adult.
As a normal guy.
And we sort of discover his secret with Awkwafina, right? We're along for the ride because we don't know what's going on.
We don't know who he is yet.
And I normally pick on movies right off the bat when they throw us into a flashback. But this movie actually did flashback scenes
throughout the movie
better than other movies usually do. In my opinion, I think that they weren't giving us flashbacks so that we could care about something that was about to happen. It was to explain, I guess, character development that had already occurred, right? Yes. So we already see. So, for example, we could have seen Sean at that time. It was Sean and I forget what Awkwafina's character's name is.
Kayla?
Is it Kayla?
Yeah, I think it's Kayla.
Like we could have seen them on the bus, and then we could have done a flashback sequence to him training and learning all the karate, right?
Whatever.
And then jump back into the story, and then we see him fight because the movie is like, I want you to believe that he can fight. Right. Yeah. So and a lot of movies get worried about that. A lot of movies are like, oh, I want to explain it before it happens so that people.
When it does happen,
yes,
you're caught up.
This movie did it first, right? First, he comes out and we see him fight. And then it goes back and says, like, let me tell you how that happened.
Yeah.
And I like that better.
Okay.
Because I'm like, because it seems cheap when the movie's like, I'm going to try to earn your emotion versus earning the emotion and then going. It doesn't seem like it's forced after that.
It doesn't seem genuine.
Yeah, it seems off whenever they're like force feeding it to you.
Yeah.
To make sure you enjoy it, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Versus like, I'm not going to say anything about the meal at all. And then when you're done with the meal, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Right. That's what it kind of seems like to me. If that,
I like that.
If
like
that analogy,
I like that approach.
Yeah. If that analogy makes more sense.
Okay.
To what I'm saying. So don't tell me anything about the food to make me enjoy it more. Let me eat it first, and then you can tell me about it. That way you get my actual opinion.
I can tell myself if I really liked it or not.
Exactly.
If I only liked it because you told me I had to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of movies go the other way, so I like that this movie did it the reverse. But yeah, what did you like about Shang-Chi?
So I had one thing
Okay.
Going into it, and I knew nothing about it. I had heard the name, and that was it.
Yep.
But I've heard a ton of names.
Sure.
Of a ton of different characters.
Yeah.
And I said, if I watch this movie, and I come out of it, and now I'm a fan of him, or I want to be him, or I want to buy a shirt of him, or I want to buy a comic book of him. If I can do that, I'll know I've enjoyed this movie. If I get out of the movie and I'm like, well, yeah, it's cool. It's another character. It's something else they're throwing in the mix, and that's all fine and good.
That makes sense.
But I came out of it. I was like, well, now I got to go buy a shirt. I got to go buy a comic book. I got to go do this. I got to go do that. And I'm like, they did it.
They
did it.
They achieved
it.
it.
And that's what made me so excited.
All right.
Because that's what I want. I want to discover a new superhero that I don't know.
That's a good way to measure it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read the same ones and the same stories and things before.
Right.
But now there's a new one I might want to pick up and enjoy and learn about.
Yeah.
And they did that.
Which is,
and a lot of it was the actor, Simu Liu. A lot of it was him. I was like, I really like you.
Yeah,
I care about you.
I agree.
I care about your backstory. I care about your emotions and the things that you're feeling.
I agree.
And that to me was the biggest thing is they were able to make me, after 2 hours and 15 minutes, care about something I could have given a shit about 2 hours ago.
Right. Yeah. You knew zero.
And I knew nothing.
Right.
Nothing. And at the end of it, now I care. Now I'm invested. Now I'm excited. Yeah. Now I'm talking about sequels.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready to learn about his family and Kayla and everybody else that I came across and his sister and all that stuff.
Right.
And I was ready. And that was the biggest tell for me. Because I love Kung Fu movies.
Yeah.
I do. That's why I was going to see it. I wasn't going for the superhero.
Right.
I was going for the history and the
like MCU movie aside.
Yeah, MCU aside, the Asian culture and the way they do things and the way they train people and how different it is. That's what I was going for. But at the end of it, I was like, cool, new superhero.
You're like, now
I'm excited now. Let's go.
Yeah, I agree. If a movie, it's like a musical, right? If you see a musical and you play the soundtrack going home, like it did its job.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And so like same thing. If it can make me go home and read a comic book, I think I agree with you.
And it had all the aspects of things I liked.
Yeah.
Like when his dad was talking to Kayla, it's like, well, what's your Chinese name? What does it mean to you?
Right. That's huge.
Like, that's what makes that's the part of the Chinese culture and the Kung Fu movies that I like. Because I'm like, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about how important. And Kayla was like,
yeah, she was thrown out too.
I don't know. I have no idea.
She sort of played like the American version of
exactly
of everyone.
But they
right?
hit those points in the Asian culture that I really enjoy, that make me like watching their movies.
Yeah, I agree.
So I still got what I went there for, and I got something else. So it was two birds with one stone. I left satisfied, but I got even more than what I needed.
That's awesome.
So I was super excited.
I completely agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. If it makes you a fan, it did its job. Mm-hmm. I gotta say though, and you made a good point. MCU movie aside, and I always harp on this, the story of this movie is good.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a superhero movie.
It's
right. It's
not.
Yeah, and if Marvel did not play the title card in the front, like you would have known that it was a Marvel movie, right? No, I don't think so. I understand that's how origin stories are, but I'm just saying that you could have completely not told anyone that this was a superhero movie, and nothing in this movie makes you think that he's a superhero.
No, there's really not.
And I love that. Because he's not
not a superhero.
Yeah, it's not until the very last minute that he becomes
also a good origin story.
Right, I love that.
That's how it should be.
And so the story, I think, is also assisted by his dad, who is the villain. But
sometimes he's not even the villain.
Yeah, so a villain that you're kind of like, I think I would do the same thing, is a really good villain, because what is he trying to do?
What are you gonna do? Not save your wife?
Exactly. The whole time he's trying to save the love of his life. Like, that's all he's doing. He's like, I would have done. I love her so much. I don't care that there's a beast that's going to destroy the world behind this wall. If she's behind there, I'm getting her.
I'll burn down a whole city for my fake wife I don't have. 100%.
Exactly.
You're all gone.
And I'm like, you know what, dude? I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
And if that makes me a villain, us chasing after what we are passionate about and with blinders on can make anyone a villain. And I
100%.
love that this love that he had for his wife was so strong.
His family he
had blinders.
Yeah.
And that made him a villain.
And he really didn't know.
Yeah, he did.
He had no idea.
He was literally hearing the voice of his wife.
Yeah.
Right? So to him, it was as real as her in the room as he stated, right?
So I get it. And again, that's not something you can do in another superhero movie that I don't think represents the way the Asian and the Kung Fu and that whole thing works.
Gotcha.
That's only in that realm.
It's tied into that.
To the way they live their lives and the way they view things.
Yeah, I could see that.
And that's why I think I gave him a pass almost.
Yeah, I think.
I'm like, yeah, all right.
You're like, I get it. As a villain, you're like, I get you, man. Yeah.
Like, all right.
I mean, but seriously, a villain that is almost not a villain, I think is the best villain that you can have. Yeah. And you did an awesome job. So my only complaint about this movie.
I wonder if it's the same one. Probably not. Because I have a complaint too.
You have a complaint too? Again, it's story-wise. It's not.
Probably not.
It's not really. It's like something visual. It's not really. It's just when they're writing the story, someone said we have to get them from A to B. How do we get them from A to B? Okay. And it's when they throw them into jail. Okay, and
jail.
They are thrown into.
The dungeon.
The dungeon, dungeon.
I was thinking of like a.
Sorry,
of like a jumpsuit.
Sorry, no, they were thrown in the dungeon, right?
And that's when
and they meet the guy. They meet the fake Mandarin.
And we were the only people in the theater that actively shouted.
We were like, "Oh my!"
Me and Sam with a theater full of people were like, "Oh my god!" And everyone's like,
"What?
What?" Like. And I'm like, nobody else is shocked.
I know.
Nobody. And I was like,
everyone knew.
Yeah, everyone
that
knew.
Ben Kingsley was in this movie.
No, get out of here.
You're lying to yourself if you thought he was in this movie.
But it was so spot on.
It was
hilarious.
Awesome.
It was great.
So I was thoroughly shocked that he was in. I was like, oh my gosh,
I was pumped. But I'm like,
awesome.
Wrap up that story.
So
kind of.
What bugged me is that they needed, so they used him and his pet to get them to, essentially it was a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I can talk to this animal and this animal knows all the answers.
And led me directly to the front door.
Yeah. And so when you're writing a story and you need to get from one, you're like, how does the character get from here to here? It's a cheap way to do it. It's a very cheap way to get your characters. It's an unnatural way to get your characters from A to B. And they throw in action to kind of distract you from the fact that really
it did happen
quick
though.
They stumbled on the answer magically without doing anything themselves, and now they're where they are. So that was the biggest issue I had.
And that's not even like a big.
It wasn't, because it was funny.
Bad thing. Yeah,
it was funny, and there was comedy and there was action at the time that story was taking place. It was just I just wish there was more of a natural way of them getting to his mother's village instead of just
like literally driving in the front door.
And like it'd be like, I'm looking for treasure, and someone's like, hey, I have the treasure map here for you, and you're like, wow, thank you, stranger. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, no problem.
X and then marks the spot.
Yeah, and then if you follow this, you'll find the treasure. So like your character didn't have to do anything at that point, right? Someone gave him the treasure map and told him exactly where to look.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, whatever. My second smaller detail is I just wish that they were at the village longer than a day to learn
everything.
They were there for a day.
How to shoot.
They were there for one day.
Yeah.
And they learned everything.
The history of,
all of it.
Yeah.
Teach me how my mother does that.
That's funny because I guess you caught that and I didn't know how long. I know it wasn't long.
It was no more than 2 days. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a long time at all.
Yeah,
It was a day and a half, and then
and I could see Shang learning stuff quicker.
sure, yeah,
Aquafina learned how to shoot a bow and arrow in 48 hours.
yeah,
to absolute perfection.
and come on,
And again, it's not a bad. It wasn't like
she's not. But the thing is, like, she's not a trained warrior, right?
no.
Why was she the one that looked up and decided to shoot at the beast?
That was my biggest thing.
Yeah, like,
and again, it didn't kill. Like it
it
was
did it
like
right.
a minor
It just
thing.
assisted. It was.
But
like,
I'm like, if that was the one that took it down,
you were gonna lose it.
I was gonna have a panic attack.
So you were like, no.
Yeah. So like once it's like, oh, it helped out, whatever. Fine.
Yeah.
But I was like, she just shot a bow to perfection.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even because it was Aquafina. It could have been anybody.
Right.
It could have been one of the warriors that came in from the dad and been like, oh, you were the one that did it?
Yeah.
Like
that's what I mean. Like I feel like everyone would have been like, let's all turn our bows over here.
Yeah, and if everyone was
fire.
Like, yeah, and then we all did it, I'd have been like, okay.
Yeah.
But which brings to my biggest gripe.
Okay.
And I'm getting shit on by everybody for this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
People are not happy with me.
About your gripe about the movie?
About my gripe about the movie.
All right. What is it?
God, there's even no correct way to say this. And it's not a gripe. I didn't.
You're about to upset some people?
I've already upset a lot of people.
What?
I'm trying to think of a way to say it.
I'm so anxious.
The final battle was too big. Like there was all of a sudden there's two ginormous dragons fighting. Like, okay, I could believe like the things that were coming out. I liked the battle more between the village people and the people coming in. But then all of a sudden, two dragons came out of the ground and out of the walls, and now there's a kaiju fight. And again, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed the fight. The fight was fun.
I could see that.
But all of a sudden, there's two beasts.
I understand.
And he's riding a dragon. He's riding a dragon like a horse. And I liked it. It was very cool. I enjoyed it. I was taken by storm with it.
I understand what you're saying.
It had happened out of nowhere to me.
But right. Yeah,
so they came in and they were attacking and him and his dad were fighting. And then he was riding a dragon.
And
that came from the sea.
That's a great point, though.
I was like, whoa.
Like, where did that part come from?
Yeah. So, again, it wasn't bad. And that's why I don't want to say it's a gripe.
Yeah.
Because it's not. It was awesome. He was riding a dragon. How cool is that?
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
But there was nothing that led you to that point that made you... That, like, there's no build up to that.
That's how I saw it.
There were, like, dragon stuff throughout.
Yeah.
But there wasn't,
to me, it's like now it's his pet and he's, like, riding it.
Yeah. He's in control of it somehow.
Which, again, is super cool. It's a superhero movie. It's a big blockbuster.
Yeah.
I get all that. But it literally, they were fighting the warriors on the beach, I guess.
Yeah.
And then he's riding a dragon.
And
then now the dragons are fighting and sucking the soul out of... I'm like,
dang.
Whoa. I'm like, whoa.
Well, I
was like, that's how I felt in the I was like, I missed something.
Because you were like,
I'm like, whoa.
I missed the build-up.
Two dragons sucking the souls out of each other.
I definitely don't.
And that's just kind of a lot for me at the moment.
I agree that I don't think that there was maybe a good enough explanation that was going to happen as a result of their actions. But so I was okay with the dragon behind the wall. Because they were warned about a beast,
and that was a history thing,
right?
I just wasn't expecting two dragons to fight like pit bulls.
But when they were explaining the story, and again, it's because I don't think the movie said, and then this because I don't think they said this dragon came out, and this water dragon is the one that pushed, the beast in, right? So visually, they were probably telling us there were two dragons involved, and when they were,
it was all, I guess I have to change the way I'm phrasing it to people. I was taken by storm with
it seemed like
two dragons all of a sudden in a kaiju battle,
right?
And I was like, whoa.
And again, my biggest gripe with that is just that they were there for a day. and now he's riding a dragon.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's my biggest thing is I'm like, I feel like you have to learn how to do that, Sean. Like, like I don't think that you could just do that.
And he did.
And he did because.
But again, I loved the movie so much, and I think that's why that's how I explained. I was like, oh, it's this, and then the final battle happened, and it just was.
And it was too big.
Yeah, and it was like, and the people like, what do you like? It's too much action for you, too much fun. And
like, no,
whoa, guys, so hold on. He's like, no, I'm done with this guy. I was like, sorry, everybody.
I don't agree with you at all.
And again, that's not what I'm saying. I know
not
what you're saying. In this movie.
I know what you're saying.
If you would have said, if somebody would have came out, just like, dude, the dragon battle was crazy.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, in Shang-Chi, there's a dragon battle?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, yeah, dude, it's in Shang-Chi. I'd have been like, did you go out of the same movie?
Right.
I don't think you're talking about.
You're like
the same movie.
Like I don't recall anything about a dragon whatsoever.
I don't think you saw Shang-Chi. I think you saw another movie. You're talking about a dragon battle.
And I don't know. Did you ever see Raya in The Last Dragon?
I didn't.
No. It's just funny because Awkwafina is the voice of the water dragon.
Yeah.
In that movie, and this dragon is the water dragon. So it's like so they share
confirmed.
They share similar Yeah. It's in the same universe.
Same universe.
But it was just funny because it was sharing the same universe, and I think I got like a little kick out of that when I was watching the movie because I was like, oh hey, Awkwafina was the voice of this water dragon in the animated Disney movie, which is hilarious.
Again, it's not a complaint. I
know what you're saying. I mean, movies have to earn.
Yeah.
Whether we like to admit it or not, they have to earn things, right?
But on that note, probably one of my favorite MCU movies out of the 25 or whatever has been out. This is something that I'm gonna revisit and come back to. Yeah. So again, I said, it probably wasn't a complaint. Is it, like you said, we haven't seen some of these movies in 10 years. Is it better than Iron Man 1? I have to watch Iron Man 1 one more time. I liked it because it wasn't a superhero movie.
I agree.
Iron Man 1 was a superhero movie.
Yeah.
It was about a superhero that saves the day.
Yeah. And he was a superhero.
And he was a superhero in a super suit with super money and super cars.
Yeah.
And Shang-Chi wasn't.
He wasn't, yeah.
It was an origin story about a guy that is gonna do all those things.
Because
that is gonna save the day. That'll have his super suit.
Yes.
That'll be part of the Avengers.
I was just gonna say that. Like, it wasn't even like him saving the world. Well, I mean, I guess he
is. It was, yeah.
But it's like it was contained to his family, right?
To him, about him.
Yes, it was all about him.
Is he gonna be a part of the Avengers? Yeah, because he is.
Yeah.
Is he going to save the day? Yeah. Is he going to get a suit upgrade and a ring upgrade? Yeah. All that's coming on the way. But we didn't see any of it. And I'm okay with that.
It was a great origin. Well,
it was a great origin story.
And I like that. I like it when in a superhero origin story that he earns it at the final form. Yeah. He earns it at the very end.
And that's, to me, all fine and dandy.
Yeah.
So it was one of the better MC. I know this. So now they call them top shelf or tiers.
Oh yeah,
top tier, mid tier, low. It's a top tier for me.
It's absolutely a top tier.
Agreed. It's in the penthouse.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is. I agree.
It's in the penthouse.
I didn't expect it to be. I was expecting.
I don't know. I had no idea.
I was expecting mid building floor suites.
I had no idea
that everyone had access to.
Black Widow was in the parking garage. Of the building.
You watch Black Widow in the elevator.
Yes.
As you're moving from floor to floor.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what you do. It's
up there with some of the greats.
Yeah, it was. And
it's the first one.
It's a great I'm so excited. Again,
it's the first movie.
Director, writer, producer, all of it. The combination.
Everybody was on the same page.
Yeah. It was just a great execution of a well-written story. With some great actors.
Keep all of them.
Every single one of them.
I like the sister. We didn't talk about the sister a lot.
Oh my gosh,
but
dude.
She was phenomenal. I want a shirt of her.
Phenomenal.
I want to be her.
I know.
I want her. I want her business savviness.
I want to lead the 10 rings.
I want to be like, yo, let me show you how to run a business.
Fantastic.
And she could do it.
You
want me to kick your ass at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like her story. I mean, the movie has a lot of rich story that's not told. Like the sister who is like,
what happened to her for all that time?
Yeah, because you could tell a whole movie about her as a little girl, not, falling into the feminine role forced by her father.
Yeah.
And she's like, hell no, I'm breaking out of that immediately. And she did. And she picked herself up and she kicks everybody's ass in this movie.
Process,
yeah. And I thought she was so badass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who? Like, seriously, go down the list. Name me one awful character in this movie.
I even liked the club guy.
Yeah.
He's like, comedian? You signed it, bro. Oh, no. The guy on the bus was funny, too. But the guy when they got to the club.
Yeah, the guy.
was like promoting the
guy.
Fights.
Yeah, he's a comedian in real life.
Oh, is he? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know who he was. I just liked his character.
No, he's a comedian in real life.
But I like the guy on the bus. That was
hilarious. That was
But again, the humor of it fit into the situation.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
someone would do that. Like,
yeah, exactly. And that's all it was. Someone like, these guys are going to did it.
He's just live streaming.
Did it so perfectly, and
hilarious.
I liked everything. I had a fun time.
Go down the list. Everyone who had a line in this movie, go down the list.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I'll fight anyone who says anyone did a bad job.
No. Everybody was on the same page, and that's why.
Yeah.
And I think about it like sports. All right, you just won the championship.
Yeah.
Bring everybody back next year.
Yeah. Nobody
don't
retire.
Switch directors. Yeah. Don't switch writers. Maybe you could bring some. You'll have to probably bring somebody on new because the dad died. The mom's not things changed, so you have to add characters.
Well, he's probably gonna get incorporated into the MCU over these next
and
few
that's
films,
totally
right?
fine. But keep the good team you got going.
Yeah.
Because you have success. There's no reason to switch it up.
I completely agree. Don't
I'm
don't
excited.
mess with the formula.
I'm excited for what's next, though. It'll get a sequel.
Yep. It will, and it should, and I can't wait.
I'm excited. I'm ready.